question BLM, and that's all it took. Now they call me Uncle Tom, you ever read the book? I'm seeing black supremacy everywhere I look. Exposed the whole agenda, dog, and I left them shook. They coming for my head, now I'm speaking out. On the road to equality, ain't no different route. From Don Lemon and others putting words in my mouth, to the gatekeepers I still don't know anything about. That's the hard truth within the black race. Typecasted as a white man in black face. So they label me a traitor, a disgrace. That's why nowadays I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. Stand on my beliefs, dog, that is what I choose. Never back it down, and even if I lose, I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews. I'm ringing the alarm, time to wake up. 40 acres, lot of ground for us to make up. All this violence that we see, we need to break up and understand that we all got a cross we can take up. But usually our community in this situation is cause we seeking unity without communication. We sprinkle in the media and their misinformation, and now we got communism running out through the nation. Talking about defunding all the police. Got us marching, yelling no justice, no peace. Out here looting black businesses and slowly becoming the very thing that we said we are opposing. Wow, I swear we all just need a mirror. It's 2020, y'all, and it couldn't be any clearer. And if I tweet some things, I'm hoping they be a trigger to make you reconsider. I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. Stand on my beliefs, dog, that is what I choose. Never back it down, and even if I lose, I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews.
My thing is, in the black race, in the black America, we have gatekeepers. We have people who have decided that who is going to be black and who's not.
Yo, it's crazy that when I sit back and look, that even within the black community, we have a whole war going on amongst conservatives and others, simply about how we want to move the black community forward.
I saw that on the gram, Snoop made a post, bashing on some black educated folks. Calling them a coon, no it wasn't jokes. Man, you tripping like your foot caught between the spokes. You couldn't hold a light next to hurricane. So the man with better class and better brains, out rebuilding our communities and other things, like making up for all the damage from the dopest slang. Candace O, she's a queen in her own right, not the type to monetize off her own plight. Working hard for black America day and night. Understand that you're not the only dog in this fight. Terrence K refused to be a product of the system. Bounce around the foster care, no he ain't a victim. You got probation and luckily died going to prison. Yeah, you believe you had the right to pose criticism? David Harris, I can tell the pain's authentic. He truly cares for the people, meaning all pigment. Your music is the reason why this generation's violent. Another reason why I couldn't stay silent. Miss Staten, she's a G, she did real time. All you do is talk about it, a real crime. But even that can't hold her back while she steady climb the long ladder to success in these troubled times. Tell me what's wrong with Pastor Derek Scott? You hating on the man, simply how I walk with God. When he supported you when you was Snoop lying, even when the majority figures Snoop lying. Look, I ain't falling for the tongue in cheek. Your virtual threats, man, they kinda weak. Cause I bet you ain't stepping to the Hodge twins. Just to fight with Shaw loses and Hobbs wins. You hate on Diamond and Silk, Paris Bernard. They support the president and that is regardless of all the hate that they receive. Being loyal is a trait that a dog can't conceive, huh? Funny how you say we work for massa. Hold on to that thought, got some questions wanna ask you. Who's in videos with the chains around the neck? Posing next to Trump, the very man you disrespect. Who's buddy with all the Democrats? The very same party owned slaves in the past. Who's the one seen treating women like the objects? Pushing drugs, alcohol seems pretty obvious. Who became a slave to the game? Traded all your moors for the fame. No more calling names. A real man step up to the base, better ask a Breakfast Club how these facts really taste.
That was good, man. Man, I ain't gonna lie, that's why I like watching you, man, cause you be hitting with the spit in the ass. You know what I'm saying? Nigga like me, I don't even do stats. I got common sense. I just be like, listen, that just don't make no sense, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't be, but if I had stats, oh my God.
I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. You fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep.
We record while you snoring. Never been about that Taurus. We snapping on tourists. We play to win, better forfeit. Stun gun singing like chorus. We landed in Florida, still in the middle of the forest. You better run like Forrest. Every bar gold, that's oral. So glow, the aura. When I go to girl Dolores. We skirt off to Lauren. Back to the future, we travel. We zoom into planets, we moving, we out. Yeah, passing you humans, we zapping you losers, bananas, we shooting, no doubt. Yeah, nobody even come close. Beating the odds with my bros. We're the squad and you know. Gone with no rappers, I've gone. Oh no.
I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. You fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep.
Hey, that's my cue to come in. Slept on us too long, now you off it when the coming. Closing up the shuttle, 3, 2, 1, we're launching. Into outer space, blasting right past your assumptions. Slinging hammers with the boys, veteran we making noise. Thicker than the fattest cores, deeper than the hemorrhoids. Elevated people boys, get the power from the source. Danger, 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 danger. Turning back is not a choice. Y'all can't go. Look.
I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. You fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep. I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. I don't think you've gone this deep, even when you're falling asleep. You fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep, you fall asleep.
Wow. Space Force, wow. Space Force through your tape. We fast forward, we came through that time warp. Your foreheads look like warp. Everybody look confused, huh? How do we make these moves, huh? How do we always improve, huh? No, we ain't nothing like you. We on top cause we don't stop and all we do is gradual. Everyone's so grouchy cause they puppets and we animals. We don't whine, we just break bread with the team, holy mackerel. Know us, and we reign in better grab a boat. Whoa. We a different breed, talking alien. Survivor of the fittest and we play to win. Grab another bounty and get paid again. Then we fade into the dark like a gradient. Dark like a gradient. Dark like a gradient. Space Force through your tape. We fast forward, we came through that time warp. Your foreheads look like warp. Everybody look confused, huh? How do we make these moves, huh? How do we always improve, huh? No, we ain't nothing like you. We on top cause we don't stop and all we do is gradual. Everyone's so grouchy cause they puppets and we animals. We don't whine, we just break bread with the team, holy mackerel. Know us, and we...
Welcome to Plausible Foolishness. I am one of the two kings of the Rube Empire. I'm the Philosopher King, the Ivory Tower, the Mad Scientist Matt, and with me, and I've got a perspective on things. With me,
Yes, you do.
the producer, the right hand of the kings, the kick-ass Duke, Dusty.
That's right. Sorry I missed last night. I was not feeling nearly good enough to be on the show and give you what you guys deserve. So I had to call it a night, one night, one night. But I'm back
Excellent.
and I'm better. So I still have the deep voice to give you the fears.
The fears, ooh, the chills. Death Hunter, what up? Welcome back to the show.
How are you?
Good to see you again. So,
Welcome to the dark side. We have cookies.
ding dong, the mandate's dead. Which mandate? Biden's mandate.
Date.
Ding dong.
Well, half dead.
The wicked mandate's dead. All right. SCOTUS killed it.
Yay!
He's gone. Unless you work at a healthcare facility that receives money from Medicare or Medicaid. Death Hunter's recovered from the Rona. What'd you say?
If you do work for a place that accepts Medicare or Medicaid, see about changing the policy.
Yeah. Well, like you said when we were talking before the show, how many doctors' offices are gonna stop taking Medicare and Medicaid now? You know.
Well, more and more of them have stopped just due to the fact that they cannot. It's not cost effective to take Medicare or Medicaid because of all the paperwork.
Yep.
They literally have to hire an entire staff of 4 or 5 people just to handle the paperwork, not to do any of the procedures, just to do the paperwork.
Yep.
Adventist
bureaucracy.
Adventist Healthcare is one of the largest healthcare systems in Florida.
Yeah.
Almost 80% of their staff is just dealing with the insurance. 80% of their staff. The rest are doctors and nurses and janitorial staff, things like that.
Sure.
But 80% of their staffing is
So
all managerial.
Most of their staff is administrative to handle the massive bureaucracy involved in insurance. And I mean, our healthcare system is all kinds of effed in the A. You know?
You know what would really fix it? A lot less socialism.
Yeah, there's that. Price control,
right,
like not price controls, but like we don't even know the prices of the services that we're engaged in.
One of the things Trump was trying to do just before he left office, and I applaud him to this, he was actually had the bill in front of the Senate, and then it got cut, was forcing hospitals to list openly, where everyone can see it, the prices for each service.
Yep.
So if you have cash, this is how much it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not with your insurance or anything like that. If you have cash, you walk in the door, you have a broken arm, you need an x-ray, here it is, and this is how much it is to set, this is how much it is to cast.
Yep.
Boom.
And then you can actually go, okay, well, I broke my arm, but or whatever, I need to have such and such procedure done. I'm going to compare prices. I'm going to check out this hospital. Okay, well, that hospital is this much, and this hospital is cheaper. I'm going to go to that hospital. Instead of go in, get the procedure, and then find out how much you owe them.
3 months later.
Yeah, complete garbage.
Yeah, that is not the way the free market works. And I don't like people saying, oh, capitalism doesn't work. Look at our medical system. Because our medical system is not a capitalist system.
Yeah.
It is not. It's a socialist system.
Yeah.
It's supported by capitalism.
If you remember the Candace Owens show when she was with PragerU, she had on somebody from the Trump admin talking about that very thing. It was a woman,
Correct.
and I can't remember her name, but go look it up. That was a good episode, very informative.
It was so good. I love that episode.
And then watch the John Abramson episode of Joe Rogan Experience to to find out what our healthcare system is like on the big pharma side, and it's abysmal.
It's really bad.
Abysmal. They are completely unregulated.
As far as the big pharma goes, they're more capitalist, but still supported by the socialist government.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's
it's a mix of the two that's a really bad mix.
Well, yeah, they're
That's
completely
the worst
unregulated.
possible.
They're in control of all the information that gets released, right? How it gets released, who it gets released to. The FDA is supposed to be finding monkey business, you know. Did they mess with the data and stuff like that? But they have no power to actually acquire that data. It's ridiculous.
They don't.
It's crazy.
They don't have any teeth. The FDA has no teeth other than to say you can't put that on market.
Now, as an anarchist, or as a fledgling anarchist, or someone who's interested in the anarchist thought process, I wonder what their answer to that is. Because obviously it wouldn't be stronger FDA, bigger federal government, you know?
And if anything, less.
Well, but the FDA, like the problem is that the FDA has no teeth to regulate them. You know?
Correct.
And the same thing with the pills, you know. Like the new drugs that they come out with, more often than not, don't work better. They work at least equivalent, right?
If not worse.
If not worse.
Side effects.
But they market it in such a way that it makes you think it's better. It's going to be better than what you're taking.
More money because they have a copyright on it.
Yeah, because they have the patent, so there's no generic.
Correct.
So
they'll make $1 billion on it, and then these bunch of people sue them for side effects for a couple $100 million. It's still several $100 million in profit.
Even the current, I think there's one called Vioxx.
Pfizer.
That was the current biggest
lawsuit in history.
They made about $12 billion in 5 years of it being on the market. They spent probably $4 or $5 million making the drug. billion making the drug. And then the lawsuit was for about, maybe 6 or 7. Either way, the lawsuit cost them about $4 billion, but they still made $1 billion in profit off this drug that killed like 40,000 to 60,000 people.
Yep.
And all because the advertising is unregulated, the data from the studies is unregulated. I mean, everything is unregulated. But then, so that's one big question that I have. What does the libertarian anarchist viewpoint say to that? I mean, there's competition.
It's a very broken system.
Well, yeah, but what is their solution? Is what I mean.
More companies making not the drugs that will make you billions of dollars. They make the best drug available. So, if aspirin,
but you have to. But you're not getting my point.
Problems.
All of that requires regulation.
Let's just make aspirin.
All of that requires regulation. That's not a truly free market approach.
It isn't.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, what is the solution that is free market?
What was that
I guess
drug
the
that
only thing that the government does
Trump
that supports them is the patents.
yeah,
The patents is the reason why they do these things, because they can, you know,
yeah,
and get away with it.
because it makes them a ton of money.
It makes them a ton of money for like 10 years. So if there's no federal government, there's no patents. There's no patents, then any competitor can produce what they produce if they can get the formula.
Mm, and if somebody comes up with a good idea, anybody else can make it and sell it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know, China.
Yes.
Not that they care much about that anyways. They do it anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Anyway, so that's just my current question, one of many, but still burn it down. What was I gonna say? Okay, so, but again, this is a celebration. The mandate
yes.
is effectively dead in its current form. They may come up with some alteration or some whatever, some
Ding
other
dong, the mandate's
some
dead,
other
mandate's dead, mandate's dead.
some other agency through which to push it. Who knows? But for now, we're good. We're golden. I don't think with the Medicare thing. I imagine that those who are federal contractors have no. This doesn't pertain to them either. So.
Yes and no. So, for example, my company that I work for um, has a contract with uh, Amtrak,
Mm-hmm.
which is federally owned. Um, we were notified that if we want to continue the contract, all all of our employees that enter property must be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. So. Yeah, those things uh, can what be challenged in a lower court? The Supreme Court decision? No. Supreme Court is the supreme. Their decision is what stands.
Yeah, that is the final say on all court hearings.
Yeah, so they can change. That was a question from the chat for those listening and not
Yes.
watching.
Hello, Death
They
Hunter.
can change things. They can and then it can go through the process again and have to be decided upon. You know
That'd be weird.
that it would suck too. But but yeah, as far as current situation, gone. Um, Now, if you're talking about the federal contractor thing, can that be challenged? Yeah, anything can be challenged. I just
Will it
don't.
be held up?
It's kind
I
of.
don't think so.
I think they're just gonna say it's within the purview of the federal government to make these demands. But ultimately that just hurts.
So,
It hurts them because
yes,
the contractors will lose workers, and um the the government will lose contracts,
yes.
um or lose companies to contract with. I mean, it's not gonna be good. It's just like
For
the
example, my
doctors
company,
dropping Medicare and Medicaid.
or not, they don't drop Medicare and Medicaid. They drop patients that have Medicare and
Well,
Medicaid
yeah,
and go,
exactly. They
I'm
don't
sorry, we don't
accept
accept that.
patients, and so then they don't receive payments, and so they don't have to follow that
Deal
mandate.
with that headache.
Yep.
Well, one of the things that is always a stickler with doing the Amtrak buildings
Hmm.
is all of our employees have to have vests on have to have steel-toed boots, even though we don't step foot on the tracks. We have to have steel-toed boots. We have to have hard hats everywhere we go, including inside the building. Um, have to have vests, um, restraining vests,
Hmm.
if we're more than 2 feet off the ground. It's the amount of red tape to do this job is absolutely mind-boggling, asinine.
Yeah.
But that's why we charge almost 3 times the normal rate to do that work, is because we have to follow all these asinine
Yep.
rules.
And that's why
And then we have a
everything costs
safety
so. I
monitor.
mean, and this raises the cost of government being what it is. These are the results of a massive bloated government. Why does the
Yeah,
government own
exactly.
a train
Now,
company?
because it's unsuccessful otherwise.
Yeah, so get rid of it.
Why does the U.S. government have a mail service
Yeah.
that's an abysmal failure
Mm-hmm.
and does not make any money?
Ever.
Yet there are several other companies that are profitable
Mm-hmm.
that do, that work just
And
fine.
and in some cases are pretty expensive, but would probably be less expensive if there was no post office, horning in on their
Undercutting everything.
business.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all right. You have socialist stuff like Amtrak, which is immensely expensive to ride on, by the way.
Mm.
I looked at riding from Sanford to DC on the auto train, and it's $3,000.
For Amtrak?
$3,000. No, for the auto train,
What's the auto train?
Amtrak auto train. You can actually take your car, put
Uh,
it on the train, ride the train straight to DC, get off, you have your car, you can drive around DC, and then reload it, come back. So you don't have to rent a car or anything like that. It's immensely cheaper to fly there and rent a car and come back.
hmm What about what about riding the train and then renting a car and coming back? Did you look at that?
Oh, much more expensive. Yeah.
Still? Like the train
Oh
should be
yeah,
the
it's about
cheapest
double the.
thing, especially
It
a
should be the
government
cheapest,
subsidized train.
but it's almost double the price of an airline ticket.
It's insane. Insane.
And
And it takes you
it takes
3
almost
times as
5 times
much.
longer.
Yeah. Madness. Madness.
Does that make any sense to anyone? However, taking the bus is immensely cheaper. It's only like $70 to go to DC.
Crazy.
Take you a week to get there, but
Crazy.
no, it takes about 2 days to go by bus.
Wow. Anyway, so the show's about checks and balances. The Supreme Court is a check and a balance against
Yep,
executive
overreach,
overreach, legislative
as well as
overreach. They're a check against the
there
other
you
two
go.
branches, and
Exactly.
the two branches are supposed to be a check against the Supreme Court. Although, and they are in that the executive branch appoints the justices, and then
Yep,
the legislative branch confirms the justices. But once the justices
correct.
are in there, that's all there is
That's
to it.
it.
That's all she wrote.
And they're
Their checks and
lifetime
balances are
appointments.
over. Yeah, that's a little bit of a bad system in some ways. But I mean, it's
I
good for us right now. You know.
Well, it's good and it's got its downsides. For example, say we have a Supreme Court justice who we find out has committed some atrocity, uh, uh, murders his wife. I don't know. This is hypothetical. Um, Murders his wife and goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a chief justice.
Yep.
He's the, um, Is there anything that says we need to take that back and you're no longer a Supreme Court judge?
Well, I think it's just like the ones who've retired. They're
still judges.
They're still justices, but they have no active role. So it doesn't mean anything except that it's a title that they were once.
It's a title.
Yeah.
And they're paid.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime pay. You never not get paid for being a justice, and you get lifelong insurance, full insurance.
Yeah. Alex Jones was right. Welcome to the Rube Empire, citizen. We appreciate you coming with us, and bro.
Wow, Death Hunter.
Death Hunter Death Hunter voluntarily paid the taxes. Wait a second. No. Was it Death Hunter? Yes.
Yeah.
Paid taxes for JBN. Taxes. You're the man. And then Alex Jones was right.
Alex Jones
also just voluntarily paid taxes. This is proper citizenship in the Rube Empire.
There you go. Franz Chubbs.
Yeah, they did do their job, and they did do it well. You're absolutely right. So yeah, this is a celebration, and it's a celebration of checks and balances. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It's what we should be doing.
It's the way the system was designed. It's not a perfect system. It's I have my problem. I have many problems with it. Many problems with it. And we've discussed this on this channel, but it's good when
solutions.
It's good when when freedom, when we err on the side of freedom, But we also, I wanted to bring up another article that I saw. So
yes.
There's been this fight over there's been this fight over the filibuster brewing in Congress, right? Dusty Joe.
Yes, there has.
The kick-ass Duke voluntarily paying taxes for Roman Knightley. Giving to the people once again.
I give to you the people. I can only do that because of the way my voice is right now.
Right.
I try to do that on my own. It's like, you, the people. It sounds like a joker.
Okay, so the Democrats in Congress want to get rid of the filibuster because they want to just legislate willy-nilly without any. Exactly. They want to make it rain with the bills. And bring exact their tyranny on the American public without restraint and without opposition. And so, but there's some holdouts that aren't going along. Excuse me. And one of them is this woman named Kirsten Sinema. It's only a hindrance when it's convenient for the Dems. You're absolutely right. 100%.
Exactly.
100%. But they don't. They're
and they would be. How dare you try to get rid of the filibuster? It's the only way we can stop you.
You're trying to destroy democracy. You're trying to destroy democracy.
4 years later, you're holding back democracy. You're holding it back.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. All right. You're jumping ahead.
Sorry.
So, there's holdouts in the Democrat Party, and the filibuster is one of those checks and balances, right? So that the minority party can, represent their people well, their constituency. And so one of those holdouts is Kirsten Sinema from a Democrat from Arizona. And I remember when she was running, and she sounded like one of the most, like she was going to be right in there with AOC and her and the squad, you know?
Oh dear Lord, the squad.
Yeah, that's the way it sounded when I was. But she has been in the Democrats' way on almost everything. Like, I'm not saying that she's like a Republican or, a conservative in any way, but she's not a loony bin crazy, and I think I think we need to clap it up for her because this is not the first time. But let's read this article. Okay, so uh, in a floor speech in the Senate chamber Thursday morning, Sinema announced that while she supported the voting bills themselves, so there's other voting bills going on, she would not break the filibuster in order to ram them through the Senate on a party line basis. Okay. So there's no need for me to restate my longstanding support for the 60 vote threshold to pass legislation. There's no need for me to restate its role in protecting our country from wild reversals of federal policy, Sinema said. This week's harried discussions about Senate rules are but a poor substitute for what I believe could have and should have been a thoughtful public debate at any time over the past year. But what is the legislative filibuster other than a tool that requires new federal policy to be broadly supported by senators representing the broader cross-section of Americans? Demands to eliminate this threshold from whichever party holds the fleeting majority amount to a group of people separated on two sides of a canyon, shouting that solution to their colleagues. These bills help treat the symptoms of the disease, but they do not fully address the disease itself. And while I continue to support these bills, I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division affecting our country. So there's also these voting bills. They're trying to, they're trying to, they're trying to secure elections for, the next 100 years, right? The Dems are. Yeah. And so, so she supports those bills, she says, but she doesn't support the filibuster. So in supporting the bill, she's at least wildly uneducated on, on voting.
Yes.
Right. And I'm going to give her that benefit of the doubt based on the fact on that speech about the filibuster. She's 100% correct about the filibuster.
Hey,
like,
give her props. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that sounded fantastic.
The fact that we're agreeing with her, agreed with AOC was last week.
Yeah.
What is going on over there? That they're actually getting some things right. They're actually talking like some conservatives.
Well, with AOC, a broken clock, is right twice a day.
Yeah.
So.
No, she's not right that often.
Yeah. Basically, for her, it's been twice in her entire run in the Senate or Congress. I mean, but
I just think she's punking everyone by running for office, and was as shocked as everyone else that she got elected. She's like,
yeah, probably.
I'll do it, whatever. And wait, I won? What?
Exactly. And so,
kind of like some certain vice presidents. Wait, they actually voted for the old fraud? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I'm vice president now.
So she's right on. She's a moderate, is basically what she is. And in this wild, crazy world that we're living in, a moderate liberal sounds pretty darn good. It's like, oh my God, she sounds like someone I could have a conversation with. Amazing. I think she's wrong about the voting bills, but she hasn't like completely lost her mind. But listen to what she's dealing with now after having given that speech.
Oh, I can only imagine. I can only
Sinema's
imagine.
comments. Jeez, this website, it keeps like freaking out. Cinema's comments. Jeez, we lost it again. Led her name to trend on Twitter as left-wing users reacted bitterly to the speech and immediately began hounding Cinema for effectively scuttling the voting bills. Quote, Cinema delivers the Senate's stupidest speech by a Democrat in an edge of tears voice to give childish words a melodramatic effect, MSNBC host Lawrence O'Donnell tweeted. Now, I didn't hear the audio of her giving that, but that was not a stupid speech. Listen to this one. At Senator Cinema just put a knife in the heart of democracy by not getting rid of the filibuster. My heart breaks how easily she was bought to support the Republican coup. The Republican coup of what? Of the majority Democrat Senate and House, and then the executive branch run by a puppet Democrat? Okay.
Okay. First off, I want to bring this up yet again. Anytime that the liberals are just crying wolf, it's always the democracy.
For sure.
The democracy.
Here's another one.
But we don't live in a democracy.
Here's another one. How did the staff of that Senator Cinema not resign at the shame of being handmaidens to the death of democracy? Are they actually Democrats or are they Trump lobbyists?
I'm going to start creating a drinking game. We have to take a shot every time somebody says, but the democracy.
It is Listen to this. It is unbelievable.
I feel a little woozy here.
God, why does it keep doing this?
I don't know.
The website keeps freaking out. It is unbelievable that one person can destroy this country. Vote her out, wrote co-host of The View, Joy Behar. No, it's not one person, you moron. If it was just her, then it would have passed. It would have gone through. It's her and a bunch of other people. You just look at her. She's such a moron. She is such a fool. She's just the one that was the deciding vote because it was, because everything's on party lines, because of everything that she said, the division in this country.
Correct.
Here's this one from Keith Olbermann. I say this as her former friend and the person who first gave her national television exposure. Senator Cinema needs to resign or be removed from office immediately. Rather than decreasing division in this country, her action guarantees it. Yeah, and you know what? He is right about that though.
She's crossing the divide and not creating a bigger divide.
Well, no, she kind of is. All right.
No.
Hear me out.
Hear me out. Bigger from the left to liberals.
Hear me out. Okay. She is creating a divide in the mind of psychotic people like Keith Olbermann. Because the answer in his head as to the solution for the division in this country is forcing everybody to think like he does. Because he's a tyrant. He's an authoritarian a-hole. Okay? So, the answer is get rid of the filibuster and force everybody to think like I do or be expelled. The real answer is exactly what you just said, crossing the divide, being reasonable and finding common ground.
Exactly. Yeah.
But psychos like him, which make up a large part of the Democratic Party now, want to destroy all common ground and force you to live on the ground that they've taken over. Here's another one. Kirsten Sinema won't eliminate the filibuster, effectively killing our voting rights legislation. This is a Democratic Ohio congressman and Senate candidate. 50-50 isn't cutting it. We have to expand our majority if we want to abolish the filibuster and make real progress. If we win Ohio, we're virtually guaranteed to do just that. So basically, if we want to abolish the filibuster and make real progress, in other words, make real progress on the path of forcing everybody to live and think like we want them to.
Like socialists, communists.
And here's more.
Because it's always worked out so well for everyone.
Listen, oh, geez. A number of other responses can be found below. Okay. Tom Watson. I'm not kidding about Kirsten Sinema. It's all about race. If you're wondering what the cinema secret is, that's it. Black people. There's no real mystery here. Plain old bigot. Occam's razor. The mask is off. Because they're trying to, I think they're trying to eliminate voter ID, right?
Well, they consider voter ID as a racist theory.
Oh yeah. But I'm saying the voting bills that they're talking about are about voter ID not being allowed.
Implemented.
Yeah.
And well, what it's also doing is taking the state's control of voting away from them and putting it in the hands of the federal government.
Yep.
So in other words, taking more power from the states to put into the federal government, which can't manage anything. Can't. You cannot manage any of this. Take, for example, COVID. How well has Biden managed COVID? He himself has admitted that the federal government cannot manage COVID. It's up to the states. And it's not even a state thing. It's a humanity thing. We're going to have to live with this virus. It's something that's going to be around forever if it doesn't mutate itself out of existence, which it could. I mean, just look at Omicron. Omicron spreads much more easily, but it's much less, what's the word, virulent? No, virulent means spread. It's less deadly.
Yes.
So, yeah, good job. The one thing he ran on, I'm not going to close down the country. I'm going to close down the virus. Well, congratulations, you can't do it.
All these people, man, they're just a grotesque, opportunistic, lying monster. All because they want anybody to be able to vote without showing their ID, without proving that they're a citizen. And they've convinced themselves that it's racist
to vote, and they want dead people to vote.
This is such madness. Death Hunter, thank you for voluntarily paying your taxes. Man, we got a lot of good citizens tonight.
Wow.
We got a lot of good
Death
citizens.
Hunter. Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Death Hunter with the 15. That's huge. We appreciate you. These people are insane. So it's like, and like part of me, I gotta be honest. The fact that she even likes the bill, the voting bill is bad. That's bad because it's garbage. It's complete garbage.
Yeah.
That
it's a garbage bill.
To require ID is somehow racist. And these people believe it, man. They believe it wholeheartedly. These fools.
And yet,
now the people at the top don't.
You're required to have an ID to drive, right?
Yeah.
So why isn't that not acceptable for voting? Everybody has one. It's not like you can't get an ID.
Here's the truth of it. Here's the truth of it. All these people shouting racism because you want people to present ID when they go to vote. All of these people shouting about that are the actual racists.
Yes.
Because they think that poor little minorities just don't have the brain power or the financial, the fiduciary power to obtain what in many states is a free, identification card.
It's free in the state of Florida.
There's a filmmaker. He does a lot of man on the street type stuff, and he went around several years ago, because this has been a debate for years now.
Yes. It was New York, wasn't it, and L.A. that he went around?
I don't know. He went to colleges, and he was interviewing a bunch of college students, all of them white, talking about why voter ID was racist. And they're like, well,
Deep State don't even go there.
They just can't, they just can't get access to the
Deep
IDs.
State jumps in here.
Yeah.
Deep State jumps in and goes, NYC will allow all its residents to vote, all in all capitals. What's wrong with everyone voting? Should be nationwide.
Well, while you're at it, why don't we just have everybody in the whole world vote on American politics? Why do they even
Why not?
It's pretty racist for them to have to reside within the boundaries of, the arbitrary boundaries of the nation of the United States of America. I mean, yeah.
And Death Hunter says it's free in the state of Maine too.
Yep. So he goes around asking, and they're like, they just can't get them. They can't afford them or whatever. It's just racist. Because it's wanting to exclude them because they know that they can't acquire them. Yeah. And then he goes, a few blocks away, interviewing black people, and they're like, so do you know how to get an ID? Yeah, the DMV is like 2 blocks away.
2 blocks up.
He's like, well, there's like students over in the college think that you don't know how to get one. Like, well, why do you think something stupid like that? That's just dumb. Like, of course we know.
It's just racist.
Yeah, it's freaking racist. They don't know. Yeah. They view them as inferior. They view them as inferior to themselves. It's easy for me, but I'm amazing. They are clearly inferior. They're just not going to do it. It's not right. It's not right. It's sickening.
They don't have access.
It's sickening.
They don't have access to that sort of thing.
It's such bullcrap.
I grew up in an itty-bitty town, mostly Amish, who don't have driver's license. Guess what was in my town? A DMV.
Yeah. It's total
granted,
nonsense.
It shared the same building as the post office, which was across the street from the library.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
yeah, and Death Hunter's right. Students are indoctrinated 100%. They've been told what to think. Yeah. And
I used to get into fights all the time with my professors, and this is back in the early 2000s.
But
I got into a fight all the time with them.
Sure, but the people on Twitter aren't students. Some of them probably are, but some of them are just. Like there was one guy from Billy Eichner. You know who he is?
Yeah, I know who Billy Eichner is.
Yeah. If you watched Parks and Recreation, when the towns merge, he's the lunatic, clearly gay guy who he like flies off the handle every 5 seconds, but is actually pretty funny. He's in there, lamenting that he went and organized people to vote for her in Arizona, and it's like, because you're a racist and you don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. These the general public supporting this are fools. And what really burns me up is the people at the top who know that who are just manipulating everybody for their own power and greed.
Yeah.
Billy Eichner isn't going to get anything out of it. He's not going to be a senator for life. He's not going to be a senator for life. But these scumbags in Congress who are pushing these bills, they're the ones who benefit from it.
Yep.
It's not going to change anything for minorities in this country because they can vote with an ID or without an ID. They're capable of doing both, right?
Yes.
It only changes the thing. It only changes the lifetime appointment now of Democrat politicians. It just guarantees that they'll be always in office.
The more people they can get to vote the way they want them to, the crazier the bills that they can implement, and the more control that they can take away from the people and give to themselves. That's exactly what this is essentially allowing them to do, allowing them to manipulate our votes so they can control everything and dictate to us what rights we have.
Mm-hmm. They were going to kill two birds with one stone too.
We, the people who are supposed to have the power, being able to say what the government is.
Yeah.
And what the government can do.
They were trying to kill two birds with one stone too. They were trying to get rid of the filibuster, ending opposition for anything that they do in Congress, and make it possible for anyone to vote in the country, no matter of your citizenship, because nobody will be able to prove it. Nobody will have to prove it, and thus secure, their position in Congress and increase their, ability to push their tyranny on us. It's just all together disgusting. And kudos to Kirsten Sinema for standing in the gap, at least on the filibuster.
Hey, credit to her on that one.
Yep.
I don't know if I've talked about this in the past, but one of the things I applauded was the founding fathers did not want felons to be able to vote.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons behind it was if you were committing a felony, you do not care enough about your civil duty to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And vote responsibly. That is why if you commit a felony, you lose the right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anyone can vote, that also takes away one of the punishments for committing felonies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at the same time, there's a million ways to be a felon. Now, when they started and that idea, there wasn't nearly as many ways to be a felon.
Maybe a dozen or two.
Yeah, exactly. And probably legitimate. Yeah, probably legitimately what they were advocating. In relation, being a good citizen, related to being a good citizen. I still roll my eyes at that a little bit, but nowadays, we're all felons. We've probably all committed a felony in some way, shape, or form. Unknowingly, because there's so many, and that's just in the regulations put out by the alphabet agencies that are law. They're treated as law, but they were never voted on by the legislative branch, ever. They were just that authority was just handed over to that agency and to do with as they please.
Yep.
It's disgusting.
And then they wrote the law into
the whole system needs to be At the
That's
very
part of the
least, it needs
reason
to be
why
brought back to its original state. I don't know that that's
part of the
possible.
reason why republics have more often than not failed at about 200 years. They get to the point where freedom no longer exists because it's been voted out because people
And it's not just
are
republics;
stupid.
it's empires. And frankly, we
Yeah.
are an empire. I mean, you
Yeah.
see. I mean, just look at the petrodollar. Look at the number of wars we're involved in and why we're involved with them. You know, we're trying to exert our influence over the entire world instead of just worrying about America first, which is, you know, which is why they hated Trump, because he was America first. He was not.
Yep.
He was not. He was an outsider to the political industry, and the globalist American empire does not like that. And by the way,
No,
if you've ever heard of the globalist American empire, if you want to know what their flag is, it's the LGBTQ flag, which flies at everywhere. You know, think about this. The LGBTQ flag flew over the White House during Barack Obama's tenure there. It flies at the UN. It flies on Capitol buildings and you know, state houses all over the country and the world. That's the real flag. That is the flag of the elite globalist empire. Have you ever thought about that?
What?
Just that idea that they've
Adopted the LGBT flag?
Yeah, well, like that you know, we talk about like the shadow cabals, you know, these people with massive amounts of money, you know, these people in organizations like the IMF or whatever that exert influence in our government and in governments all over the world, and you know, make wars and profit off of those wars and so on and so forth. That they actually have a flag for their empire, and that they put it in plain sight everywhere. But we don't know that it's their flag, that they're actually marking their territory. You know.
So here's the thing about flags. Flags are symbols, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Flags are a visible symbol. If people don't know what the symbolism is, then the flag has no meaning in that regard.
Oh, but
for example,
no, that's not true.
The American flag.
That's not true.
Isn't it?
It doesn't have to mean everything to everybody. It only has to mean something to somebody. You know, just because we don't know what they have it up for doesn't mean that they don't know what they have it up for, and it still means something, right? It's just like all the occult symbols. Yeah, or the occult symbols, you know, all over this stuff, you know, the all-seeing eye and all that other stuff. You know, not everybody knows what that stuff means, but it means something to them. You know?
Gotcha.
And so they're staking their claim. And they're willful idiots adopt it as their own, thinking that they're, you know, that it's pride and it's freedom to be who they want to be. But really, it's their control over you. You are their pawn. And they've used you to cement their influence the world over. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Okay.
On that note,
makes sense.
Checks and balances are awesome. We need more of them. Some might say the ultimate check and balance is to not have anything to check or balance. But that's
a 24-hour clock is right once a day, even if it's broken.
Yeah, well, yeah, 24-hour clock. Yeah.
I don't like the 12-hour clock because it's right too many times a day.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, you've been watching Plausible Foolishness, the home of the Rube Empire, where the people are free, the taxes are voluntary, and we've had amazing citizens voluntarily paying their taxes today, and if you can do so too, if you so desire. We appreciate it. And most importantly of all, though, in the Rube Empire, we serve freshly roasted liberal logic every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9:30 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/plausiblepoolishness, YouTube, Facebook Live, Rumble, anywhere you can get a podcast, Instagram, and minds.com. Peace out. Have a great weekend, and God bless.
Thank you.
My thing was, what I said was defeating white supremacy. Without white people could create black supremacy. And this is what I'm talking about.
I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Yeah, Terry Crews. I questioned BLM and that's all it took. Now they call me Uncle Tom. You ever read the book? I'm seeing black supremacy everywhere I look. Exposed the whole agenda, dog, and I left them shook. They coming for my head, now I'm speaking out. On the road to equality, ain't no different route. From Don Lemon and others putting words in my mouth. To the gatekeepers I still don't know anything about. That's the hard truth within the black race. Typecasted as a white man in black face. So they label me a traitor, a disgrace. That's why nowadays I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. Stand on my beliefs, dog, that is what I choose. Never back it down, and even if I lose, I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews. I'm ringing the alarm, time to wake up. 40 acres, lot of ground for us to make up. All this violence that we see, we need to break up. And understand that we all got a cross we can take up. But usually our community in this situation is cause we seeking unity without communication. We sprinkle in the media and their misinformation. And now we got communism running out through the nation. Talking about defunding all the police. Got us marching, yelling no justice, no peace. Out here looting black businesses and slowly becoming the very thing that we said we are opposing. Wow. I swear we all just need a mirror. It's 2020, y'all, and it couldn't be any clearer. And if I tweet some things, I'm hoping they be a trigger to make you reconsider. I feel like Terry Crews. I became a target all simply for my views. Stand on my beliefs, dog, that is what I choose. Never back it down, and even if I lose, I'm willing to go and die on this hill. Terry Crews.
My thing is,